So we are now in the last lecture of the stoichiometry unit, and we're going to be talking today about limiting reactants. You might have seen this from general chemistry or organic chemistry, depending on what class you took. But the analogy I like to have students understand is I use, once again, the cupcake analogy. Actually, we'll use pancakes instead. So let's say that you have a general recipe where if you have one pancake, that requires one egg and 1 cup of flour. Okay, so if you have, let's say 3 eggs and 3 cups of flour, you can make 3 pancake stacks. If you have 10 eggs and 10 cups of flour, you can make 10 pancake stacks. But now think about it. If you have only 1 egg and let's say 10 cups of flour, how many pancake stacks could you make? And the answer obviously should be you can only make 1, because while you have 10 cups of flour, which can make up to 10 pancake stacks, you only have 1 egg, and that's what you call the limiting reactant. So the reactant, which is on the left side of a balanced equation, the one that runs out first is called the limiting reactant. And then the one that's left over at the end of the reaction is called the excess reactant. Okay. Good. So now let's go ahead and apply this to some calculation with stoichiometry. And you may need to refer back to your notes from the first of the stoichiometry lessons about converting from grams to grams. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with this balanced equation, and let's read the question together. How many grams of calcium chloride are produced when 61.8 grams of calcium hydroxide and 65 grams of hydrochloric acid react, and what is the limiting reactant? Okay, so we're going to be starting off with the 65 grams of the hydrochloric acid and the 61.8 gram of calcium hydroxide. And you need to figure out how much of the calcium chloride that will be produced. So again, you can kind of imagine this as being like your, stack of pancakes is this, and your eggs being the HCl, and the cup of flour being this. We're going to figure out how many grams of calcium chloride this makes, and how many grams of calcium hydroxide this makes. So you're going to go ahead and do 2 of the conversion calculations, starting off with the 65 grams of HCl and convert it to grams of CaCl2. As we've been emphasizing all week, you're going to put the mole ratio. Okay, this time is 2 moles of HCl to 1 mole of the CaCl2 by the coefficients. Then you're going to go ahead and find the molar mass of each of these, this one being 36.5 grams per mole. Okay, and then let's go ahead and calculate the other one using your calculator. 1 calcium is 40, and then you have 2 of the Cls. So that would be about 70.9, so we'll say about 110.9 grams per mole. Okay. And then go ahead and run that through your calculator and see what you get for your final answer. And that gives me 98.7 grams of the CaCl2. Okay. Now go ahead and repeat that for the other reactant, which is the 61.8 grams of the calcium hydroxide. And we're going to convert that to grams of CaCl2. Okay, Okay, once again, the mole ratios, and please don't forget to put down your units as well as the substance so you know that you're switching between them. Okay, and then 1 mole of the CaCl2. We already have the mass of the CaCl2 from earlier. And then the calcium hydroxide, I'm going to go ahead and put that in the calculator. And we get about 74 grams per mole. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and cross multiply. Okay, 61.8 divided by the 74. And that gives you about 92.6 grams of the CaCl2. All right, now let's make sure you answer the question. How many grams of calcium chloride are produced? Okay, it's going to be the smaller of the two numbers. Don't box both of them. You only box the smaller one to answer the first part of the question. And the most common mistake students make is they box both answers. But that's not answering the question. And the other mistake that students do is they try to add the two amounts. And also, that wouldn't be the correct one because you don't have enough of either to make up the amount that you added. Okay, the other part is what is the limiting reactant. So the smaller number points back to the limiting reactant. So you're going to say the LR limiting is the calcium hydroxide. Okay, and you want to start answering the question fully. And you want to make sure that you answer it to give me the answer I'm looking for, not just say, the CaCl2 is limiting, because that wouldn't be correct. Okay? All right. So what I'd like you guys to do now is to go ahead and look at this next problem. Okay, so let's try again with this problem. How many grams of AgCl, that's the silver chloride right here, I'm going to put the question mark, can be produced when 17 grams of silver nitrate reacts with 10 grams of sodium chloride. Okay, so what I want you to do now is to pause the video and give this problem a chance. So take a few moments to go through and work out the calculations. Press pause. Okay, so if you did this correctly, check out your numbers. You should have gotten 24.5 grams of AgCl from the 10 grams of NaCl, and then 14.3 grams of AgCl for the 17 grams of AgNO3. And to answer the question, how many grams of AgCl are produced? You box the smaller number. And then what is the limiting reactant? That would be the reactant that made it, which would be the 17 grams of AgNO3. But it's perfectly fine to just to say the limiting reactant is AgNO3. Okay, so hopefully that wasn't too bad. And you can go ahead and start your worksheet number 3, stoichiometry worksheet number 3, and make sure that you do 2 calculation for each limiting reactant problem, and make sure that you answer the question. Okay, have a good one. I'll see you guys soon.